Hello everyone. Back again with film recaps. In this video, I'm going to recap one of the horror suspense films from 2024, titled Time Cut. Before we get to the storyline, I'd like to wish everyone a happy and great day. Without further ado, let's get straight to the storyline. The movie opens on April 18, 2003, in a small town called Sweetly. We meet a teenage girl named Summer, who arrives at a high school party set in an old barn. At the entrance, she meets her nerdy classmate, Quinn, who is holding a red envelope. Quinn notices her distressed state, and it is revealed that Summer recently lost her best friend, Emmy. She explains that she only came here tonight because she was too scared to be home alone with the serial killer still on the loose. Quinn then tries to hand her the envelope, but Summer's ex, Ethan, arrives and takes her away. Later, Ethan gathers everyone's attention at the party and toasts his dead friends, Val, Brian, and Emmy. It turns out that all of them were killed by a serial killer called the Sweetly Slasher, and Ethan has dedicated this party in their honor. Moments later, Summer feels very uncomfortable, and wonders how anyone can have fun after such a tragic event, while she misses Emmy so much. Just then, Ethan accidentally spills his drink on Summer's clothes. This annoys her greatly and she heads to the washroom to clean up. At this point, some cops arrive at the party and break it up as a late-night curfew is in place due to the recent killings. Meanwhile, Summer is still in the bathroom, right when this happens. Summer runs away, and tries to find a way out, but she's stuck behind the fence, while the killer is following her. As she has nowhere else to go, Summer dashes to a shed close by. However, as she tries to hide inside the shed, her belt unfortunately jingles. This alerts the lunatic to her position. The scene then cuts to 21 years later, in 2024, where we meet our protagonist, Lucy. She turns out to be Summer's little sister, who was born after her death. Lucy reveals how the Sweetly Slasher went on a 3-day killing spree from April 16 to 18, 2003, and has never been caught. Despite being such a long time, her family has never moved on from what happened, and they remain stuck in 2003. Lucy can't help but feel that she was born to fill the gap left by her sister. In the next scene, we see Lucy enter her sister's room, which is exactly the same as it was 21 years ago. She soon hears a creak in the floorboard, and lifts it to discover several letters hidden beneath. She picks out one of them, which is a warning to Summer that she's going to regret something, and it is signed by a person named E. Just then, her mom shows up, prompting her to quickly hide the letter. Afterward, the family exits the house, and it turns out that it is Summer's death anniversary. While eating, Lucy reveals to her parents that she has secured an internship at NASA, which will require her to go to DC for 3 months. However, her parents don't seem very happy to hear this, as they are overly protective of her. Dad then suggests that she work at his company, Sunner, instead, which is also working on some groundbreaking technologies. Lucy isn't happy about this, but she doesn't want to argue with her parents, especially on this tough day. After breakfast, the family visits the barn where Summer died and approaches a memorial dedicated to her. The parents leave some gifts for her, and ask Lucy if she has brought anything as well. It turns out she hasn't, but she claims she forgot it in the car and walks away. When Lucy gets to the car, she tries to remove her necklace so she can give it as a gift, but hears a loud noise from a nearby shed. Curious, she heads there, and notices a machine inside making a beeping sound. And then, when Lucy touches the screen, it automatically sets to April 16, 2003. Some sharp lasers come out of the machine and hits each other, creating some kind of portal. Our girl is also affected by it, after which everything returns to normal again. Confused, Lucy exits the shed, and notices that her surroundings are different from usual. The barn is no longer an abandoned compound, her sister's memorial is missing, and she can't find her parents anywhere. She tries to call them, but realizes that there is no service either. Panicked, Lucy heads toward the town, where she notices a sign. It is at this point that she finds out the year is now 2003. Following this, Lucy heads to her school, Sweetly High School, where she notices how different everyone is dressed compared to her time, and how they use old devices in their daily lives. To her shock, she also spots her late sister, Summer, among the crowd. She watches as Summer chats with her friends, Brian and Val. At this moment, Ethan approaches her, and tries to win her back after their recent breakup, but Summer doesn't seem interested in talking to him. Next, Lucy heads to the lab and meets her physics teacher. The man doesn't recognize her, so she introduces herself as a new student, and asks about his thoughts on time travel. But the teacher redirects her to Quinn instead, saying he's a physics genius. The nerd then explains how time travel is a bad idea, as it could create a ripple effect that would be devastating. Afterward, when Lucy arrives in the hallway, she notices that Ethan, Brian, and a few other guys have cornered Quinn and are dragging him outside. One of the students says that every year, the seniors will throw someone into the river as a tradition. The bullies take Quinn to a nearby river and are about to throw him in. The whole school has gathered to witness this, cheering and laughing. Summer is also one of the spectators, and although she doesn't agree with what Ethan is doing, she doesn't stop him. Meanwhile, Lucy doesn't stay back, and intervenes to save Quinn from the bullies. A teacher suddenly arrives at the scene, causing the students to walk away. Later, an embarrassed Quinn informs Lucy that he doesn't need any girls' help to fight his battles. However, she states that if he is really a physics genius, she needs to tell him something very important. Lucy finally reveals to Quinn that she is from the future, which leaves him flabbergasted. He is skeptical at first, but believes her after she shows him her smartphone and how it works. At this moment, Lucy notices Summer arguing with her best friend, Emmy, outside. Lucy then takes Quinn to the barn where the time machine is already present. But unfortunately, it doesn't work for the moment. So, they load the machine into Quinn's van, and bring it to his garage. While inspecting the machine, they notice that it was developed by a company called Sunner. They find an empty canister, and assume they must need one of these for her to get back. Lucy states that they can get this as her dad works at Sunner facility. Elsewhere, we see Summer approaching Emmy, saying she wants to talk about something. But the latter asks Summer to leave her alone, as she has already made her choice. Meanwhile, Lucy realizes that it is April 16th today, so she can still save her sister, as her sister will be killed on April 18th. She asks Quinn if she should change the past, but he explains that anything she does to alter the past will irrevocably change the future, and create multiple paradoxes. Shortly after, they arrive in front of Summer's house, where Lucy reveals that she wants to steal a keycard from her dad. Quinn is shocked as he finally realizes that she is actually Summer's sister. He warns her that it's dangerous to interact with her family, but Lucy insists that it's the only way they can get into Sunner. They then approach Summer, and Quinn hands over her calculus homework. It turns out that he often does her assignments, because he has a huge crush on her. Summer also asks if he can help her with chemistry as well, but he claims that he's busy, and introduces her to Lucy instead, saying she's great at science. An excited Summer then takes Lucy inside the house, and introduces her to her parents. While they're all eating, Lucy compliments the meal, and asks if they cook like this all the time. Mom reveals that she cooks with Summer every day, and it's her favorite time of day. But this only makes Lucy feel bad as in the future, Mom never really cooks for her. Afterward, the girls have some fun together, and Summer helps Lucy change her clothes to match the current fashion standards. Lucy then notices Summer's photo with Brian and Val, and asks if they have been best friends for a long time. Summer responds that they're childhood friends, and wishes she and Lucy could go to the mall right now, so that she can introduce her to them. At this moment, Lucy remembers that today is the day Brian and Val will die in the mall, which scares her. She asks Summer what time the mall closes, and the latter responds that it's at 9. Realizing there's only half an hour left, Lucy abruptly leaves the house. With only 5 minutes left until the mall closes, Lucy arrives there and meets Ethan, who shows her the middle finger. Elsewhere, Val is trying on several dresses, while Brian is waiting for her outside the changing room. Lucy then comes across Quinn, who works at the mall, and asks him about Val and Brian, so he reveals that he heard them talking about going to the 3rd floor. This makes Lucy panic, and she immediately rushes there, followed by Quinn. On the other hand, we see a bored Brian playing with toys, right when the lights go out, and he drops a CD on the floor. And then, as he bends down to pick up the CD, The Sweetly killer appears and stabs him in the neck. Moments later, Val comes out of the changing room, and is horrified to see Brian's dead body. The killer also appears, and tries to murder her as well, but Val tries her best to run away. At this critical moment, Lucy arrives to help her, and the two girls manage to run away. But as soon as they get on the escalator, Val trips and falls. This allows the killer to brutally eliminate her by smashing her head against the escalator. Lucy screams for help, which alerts a nearby security guard. But the killer easily kills him as well, before finally exiting the mall. In the aftermath of this incident, Lucy and Quinn head to his house, where he lets her stay for the night. She then reveals that the security guard wasn't supposed to die, so she feels like she made things worse by coming here. Quinn asks if they ever caught the killer in the future, to which Lucy responds that they didn't. She thus decides that she won't mess things up anymore, and will return to 2024. The next morning, Lucy wakes up very early, and sneaks into her house to look for her dad's keycard. But unfortunately, she is caught by Summer, who wants to know what's happening. She's confused about why Lucy abruptly left for the mall last night, especially now that her friends are dead. With no other choice, Lucy finally reveals that she's her sister, and has come from the future. Summer finds this ridiculous as expected, so Lucy shows her the letter from Ethan, claiming she will find it under the floorboards in 21 years. But Summer says she has never seen the letter before, and this frustrates Lucy, so she decides to leave the house without explaining any further. She later heads to Quinn's place, where the duo tries to figure out how to activate the time machine. Elsewhere, Summer arrives at school and opens her locker, where she suddenly finds a letter. She compares it to the one shown by Lucy, and is shocked to realize that they're actually the same, and we see Ethan leaving the area. Meanwhile, Lucy and Quinn learn that two elements must come into contact to cause a time travel effect. Particle A is a laser beam, while Particle B is something called antimatter. While the first object is fixed to the time machine itself, they need to obtain the antimatter to make the time machine work again. Later, as the duo is still working, Summer shows up unexpectedly. She informs her sister that she believes her now, and asks what her future looks like. Lucy lies, saying that she will have a good life with a nice job, and a handsome husband. Summer then asks if they ever caught the killer, but Lucy reveals that they didn't. A shocked Summer questions who will die next, to which Lucy reluctantly responds Emmy. Hearing this, Summer panics, saying they have to stop it at any cost. Lucy argues that they can't change the past without making things worse, but when her sister continues to insist, Quinn, who has a crush on Summer, suddenly also agrees. Next, the trio arm themselves with weapons, and travel to the Marine Museum, where Emmy works the night shift. They try calling the office multiple times, but she doesn't hear them since she's wearing headphones while cleaning. When they arrive at the museum, they can't find her anywhere, so they decide to split up, and we witness the killer's arrival outside. Later, as Emmy is cleaning alone. Moments later, Summer notices the killer's presence, so she shows up outside the door and gestures at Emmy to watch out. This prompts Emmy to run away, and together with Summer's help. The killer breaks through the door, while both Quinn and Lucy also hear the commotion and join the duo, before they all manage to escape. Later at home, while the sisters are chatting, Lucy learns that the letter signed E is not from Ethan, but from Emmy. Summer then opens up, revealing that she and Emmy are actually lovers, and had promised to come out to their parents together. But she backed out at the last moment, which upset Emmy. The next morning, Lucy comes across her parents, and casually asks if they ever thought about having more children. But they laugh, and share that they've decided not to, as Summer is enough for them. Their response makes Lucy feel very bad, and she realizes that if her sister survives, she may no longer have a life to return to. She then finally steals her dad's keycard and exits the house. Later, Lucy meets with her sister, and eventually reveals about her death. She also explains how she won't exist in the future if Summer leaves. But Lucy has now decided to save her anyway, since she didn't have much of a life to live. She reveals how much she suffered as a child, always feeling like a replacement for her sister. Upon hearing all of this, Summer feels awful, and realizes how deeply her death affected her family. Lucy then tells her sister that she has come up with a plan, and asks for her trust. In the evening, Lucy decides to sneak into the Summer facility, and Quinn also joins her. Meanwhile, Summer heads to the barn party again, where she's supposed to die. After spending some time at the party, she steps outside. Just then, she encounters the killer, who begins to chase her. Meanwhile, Quinn and Lucy manage to sneak inside the facility using her dad's card, where they are shocked to discover that the security guard is dead. Furthermore, one of the canisters containing antimatter is missing, which means that the killer came here before them. They deduce that the killer must be from the future as well, and is the one who developed the time machine. Regardless, the duo takes a canister from the case and quickly leaves. Elsewhere, Summer is in the shed, and the killer is about to murder her. But just before he can strike, Lucy and Quinn show up in a van and run him over. Lucy then rushes Summer inside before jumping back in. But as they prepare to leave, they notice that the killer is getting up. In a shocking turn of events, he removes his mask and reveals himself to be an older Quinn from the future. The teenagers quickly put the car in reverse, and drive back to his garage, where the time machine is located. However, Quinn is worried that his future self will know where to find them, since it has been his lab as well. Before entering the garage, Quinn tells Lucy that he will never turn into that monster, and she reassures him that she trusts him. They get inside, and Lucy tries to activate the time machine with the antimatter she took. However, the killer Quinn shows up and breaks down the door. He suddenly reveals how his life was ruined after they threw him into the river, and how Summer laughed at him. It turns out that the nerdy outcast grew up festering hate toward those who bullied him in high school. The teens mention that it didn't happen, but the psycho insists that it did in his timeline. So, when he became an adult, he built the time machine to travel back in time, murder Summer and all her friends, and then disappear through time. At this moment, the time machine becomes fully charged, so young Quinn takes Summer outside. Lucy then transports Psycho Quinn to somewhere in the future. The two land in a parking garage, where they get into an intense fight. Psycho Quinn lunges at her with a knife, but Lucy gains the upper hand by electrocuting him with a car charger. With the man knocked out on the floor, Lucy notices that the time machine is powered off. She then sees a canister filled with antimatter in Psycho Quinn's pocket. But as she reaches for it, Quinn wakes up, so Lucy grabs the knife, and fatally stabs him in the chest. In the final scene, we return to the past in 2003, where Summer and Quinn talk about how much they're going to miss Lucy. But moments later, she suddenly appears behind them after using the canister to time travel. Moreover, she informs them that she went back to 2024, but her parents didn't recognize her. Lucy reveals that she has thus decided to stay in 2003, where she has the normal parents she always wanted, along with her sister and new best friend, Quinn. The movie then concludes sometime later with Lucy living happily with the parents and her sister. Okay guys, thanks for watching. See you again in the next video.